Welcome back to the channel. We've got an exclusive Hawk Talk for you guys today. He's joining us just 2 weeks removed from UFC Vegas 109. The juice box himself, Julius Walker, got the W in the featured prelim at UFC Vegas 109. Julius, thank you so much for joining us today, man. It's a privilege to have you on here after such an amazing performance and getting that unanimous decision and getting your first win inside the UFC, man. So I appreciate your time today.
Dude, I appreciate you for having me on.
Yes, sir. And we're going to have a lot of fun today, guys. A lot of you that have kept up with this channel since we started going, I really don't have a personal relationship with a lot of these guys that come on here because I can't really relate to them. You know, I was just telling Julius off camera, like, I've never even gotten in a fight before. I love the UFC. I love to watch it, but I can't relate to these guys because I've never done what they do. But Julius has a pretty cool background, and we're going to get into that as we get going along the rest of the video. But me and him have a pretty similar background in sports and what we like and what we played growing up, especially at the level we competed at. So, but Julius, I just want to start off the interview by asking you, how are you and your family doing right now? That's always my first question because that's what's important in life.
For sure, dude. Things are going great, man. It's always nice, like you get home after the fight, get to spend a little bit extra time with the fam. And like with this fight camp, I traveled a decent amount, like not like a crazy amount, but I was gone for a week in June, and then I was gone for a week in July, and I got back and I was here for a couple weeks, then I was gone for a week for the fight. So it was really nice to, get back in town, hang out with them a little bit, get to spend a little bit extra time. And before we get back to rolling again, because as soon as I'm able to, I gotta get back into it.
Love that. I love to hear that from you. You actually probably just answered my question. What's going to be the last one of this interview? So this man's already locked in, guys. But Julius, I want to kind of start off now. I tell every guy on here too, and everybody watching this, we're not going to just talk about MMA the whole time. That's boring as shit. A lot of these reporters swarm you guys with the same questions over and over again. But I do have to ask you the basics because it did just happen.
Yes.
You walk us a little bit through of what the fight. Obviously, it was 15 tough minutes. You steered 5 takedowns, had a very dominant performance. He did have you maybe hurt a little bit in the third round there, but you were able to recover and still have a dominant third round. So I just want to ask you if you could walk us through the fight a little bit, kind of what you saw in each round. Maybe not every single aspect of it, but like kind of what you saw from round to round.
Yeah, man, it was a fun one for sure. Like I remember it was really interesting coming out in the Apex. Like I'd never been in an environment like that before. I'd never been in a room that was that quiet while I was fighting. And then another thing, dude, was I had never fought. Dude, it was in Vegas. It was 3:30 when I walked out. So
Yeah.
like middle of the day. You know what I mean? I remember getting done with the fight after doing probably a full hour of getting stitches and taking pictures and media and stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute, it's 4:45. I got time for dinner. We're gonna have some fun tonight. But dude, it was a really fun one. It was a really fun one. The first round he came out. It felt like everybody's always got like a certain look in their eyes, and I felt like he was trying to get a knockout for sure. I mean, obviously we all are, but I think that was what his path to victory was. He didn't really seem too interested in grappling. And I remember initially going into it, my whole game plan was just to put him under as much pressure as I could. Whenever we initially tied up, though, I just felt physically stronger than him.
Yep.
And I was like, man, this is going to be one of those things. I feel like I can grab him, and I think I can finish him on the ground. And I think in the first round, I watched it with commentary as well, and I agreed with DC. I think I was chasing the finish a little bit too much, going a little bit too fast. So, but I mean, I still was able to get that round well. Second round, similar deal. That was where I get cut in the second round really early on. I postured up to throw a punch, and he framed off and threw a nice little elbow, cut me pretty good. And then that third round, dude, I remember he came out, and with that first big overhand, it definitely buzzed me. So I like shot in, and when he shucked me off, I was like, "Oh man, he's about to empty the tank." You know what I mean? Because he hadn't shut me off like that a single time the whole fight.
Right.
When he shut me off, he went and he did. I think he did empty the tank in about a minute or two. After he rocked me that time that he rocked me, and I was able to slow things down a little bit and get on top of him again. I think that was kind of it. But it was a lot of learning experiences for me, which I think is really nice to get 15 minutes of cage time, because in my two UFC fights is probably more cage time than my entire 16 MMA fights before that, which
Mhm.
is really nice. And then I would say that it was really good for me to be able to get some lessons with a win. A lot of the time, I've won a lot of fights where there's not a lot to take from it because I've kind of dominated the guys. In this fight, there was a ton for me to take from the fight, and I probably watched it more times than I should. Trying to figure things out and learn from it.
Well, that's awesome, man. I appreciate that breakdown. That was phenomenal. I mean, a lot of guys look at in there and they just like, oh, it's a blur. I don't remember what happened, but that was a great breakdown right there. So we appreciate the insight on that. Um, what a great victory, though. You're only 26 years old. That was your second
Mm-hmm.
fight this year. So I just wanted to kind of ask now, with you only being 26, being in the UFC so early, I feel like right now, if you're watching maybe the Ultimate Fighter, like the Contender Series, like some of these guys, they're like 30 to like 32 sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's from any age and when you get on there, but like just kind of like the medium of it is like, some of these guys they're in their 30s whenever they're
Mm-hmm.
like in the track of the UFC. You're only 26, so I
Mm-hmm.
just want to ask you, coming off a split against a well-respected vet, Alonzo Menifield this year.
Mm-hmm.
A split's a huge. I think that's a great. I know there's no moral victories in sports, especially at the level of an athlete you are, but like to go out and then have a unanimous decision, be buzzed in that third round, be able to push through that. What do you think that this W specifically does for you going forward now?
Dude, honestly, for one, it builds my confidence a ton, and I think it's going to help me going into my next fight. Just knowing like I won a fight at the UFC level. I won in the UFC octagon, and that was huge for me. One big difference now is like I'm actually willing to tell people that I fight in the UFC, random people. I remember before, dude, for those 6 months before this fight, after the Menifield fight to now, when we would go out and stuff, my my coaches would always be like, "Yeah, this is my fighter. He fights in the UFC." Trying to help potentially like gain new fans and stuff like that. And I always hated it because the first thing that somebody asks you say, "Oh, how many fights have you had?" And in the UFC, and I'd say one, and they say, "How'd it go?" And I say, "I lost." And you can to people that are MMA fans, if you tell them, well, it was a fight of the night split decision against the number 15 ranked guy in the world, they say, oh, that's impressive. But to random people, they're just like, you lost. You know what I mean? You've had one fight in the UFC and you lost, so you're just a guy. But now I've definitely it gained a lot of confidence. It helped me. It helped me because I think mentally that I believed going into the fight that I belonged at this level, that this is the level that I'm at now. This gave me that like physical evidence. You know what I mean? I beat a guy. So I think that's probably the biggest thing, building that confidence and put me in position to build off of something. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. And I'm glad you bring that up right there because I think, I watch all sports. You can see the sign behind me. We're named Hawk Sports, not Hawk MMA. Everybody's been shit on me to change my name to just MMA because of this now. But I do watch all sports. I know you have too,
Oh
with what
yeah.
you attention to. I feel like this is the toughest sport, though, when it comes to fans because not only I feel like there's just more casuals in this game than there is like hardcore fans. They'll be like, "Oh shit, Alonzo
Mm-hmm.
Menifield, great job, dude. Like you're young, good split decision to go against him. Like you didn't go out there and get finished, didn't get dominated. Obviously, you won on a judge's scorecard, right? But then like the casual fans, they'll just be like, "Oh well, you lost, so you must not be nothing." And that's what I
Yeah.
with the sport. That's one of my biggest complaints, and also something that I think is really, really tough to deal with for you guys, from what I can tell from the outside, is like, this isn't college football or college basketball where you're going to play a game or two every single week. Like you have another opportunity to go out there and get a win and erase, what happened in the last game. So like, for your example, like you played college basketball at Drury, which
Mm-hmm.
we're going to get into that. Very well known D2 school. I knew who it was as soon as I saw the name pop up, but we'll get into that. But, a typical college basketball schedule, you're playing Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday night, and then you're playing on Saturday. If you
Yep.
if you have a bad game on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, then it's like, okay, well, Saturday I have an opportunity to go out there, get a win and perform better. But you
Mm-hmm.
guys don't get that in the UFC. You sometimes have to wait 6 months, like you just said. So right there, I'm glad you brought that up because I think that's such a huge point in sports from what I see from the outside view. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that kind of.
Oh, dude, I completely agree. In MMA, it's interesting. And this is one thing that I think a lot of fighters have to start to realize, especially like younger guys and guys that are just getting started, is pretty much every fight that you ever get in for really, at least probably your first long while, is going to be the biggest fight of your life. Every
Yep.
single one. You know what I mean? Like, and it's interesting because every time you go into it, you build it up in your head. You're like, oh man, this is the biggest fight of my life. And that can lead to you not performing as well. So I think that's one thing. That's the thing, though. It's kind of always going to be the case. They're always going to get bigger, and when you look back at them, their significance over time is going to lower to you. You know what I mean? Like I remember I always think about my first ever amateur title fight. It was my third amateur fight. I was about a year and a half into training. Not even. I was like a year and a few months into training. Um, and I remember, dude, I built that up so much in my head. I thought it was such a big deal. And then I remember about 6 months later, I had my sixth amateur fight, and it was against the guy that was ranked number one in the Midwest on Topology. He was 9-1 as an amateur, and I remember thinking I built that up so much in my head, thinking it was. So, and then now you get to the point where I'm at now. I look back and it was just an amateur fight. You know what I mean? So I always try to keep that in my mind to keep things in perspective. But this is a sport where it's like you have to overall. I think your main focus has got to be, and it's a lot easier to. It's easier, but it's also harder. But you've really got to focus on the process over the results because
Yeah.
if you focus on the results, dude, the up and down, man, it can really mess you up mentally. And I think that focusing on that process a little bit over the results allows you. I mean, obviously, we're trying to get better every day, but it's like you said, dude. I fought twice this year. I'm hoping to get maybe a third one in, hopefully. But you know, you're right. But it's like you never know. You're probably only fighting 2 or 3, maybe 4 times a year at the most. So if your whole life revolves around 2 or 3 or 4 days a year, you know that can be a crappy existence, especially if one or two of them doesn't go well. So I think it's important for fighters. You got to be focused on that process all the time. Just thinking, how can I get better day over day? Because at the end of the day, sometimes it's not about who's the best right now. It's about who's left. You know, like you look at a guy like Charles Oliveira that he didn't win the belt until his 27th fight in the UFC, 26th fight in the UFC. You know what I mean? Started off 10-8, came back, won the title. Or like Jan Blachowicz started off 2-4, won the title. So you know, there's guys like that, and then there's other guys that come into the UFC really hot, winning, you know, their first 2, 3, 4 fights, and then they run into that guy that kind of breaks them, and then they're never the same again. So sometimes, man, it's just about who's left, who stayed with it, who kept grinding, who continued to improve over time, and you know, that's kind of what as fighters, what we got to kind of focus on.
That's awesome, man. And I agree with everything you just said right there. That's so important. I feel like, you know, being at such a young age that you're still at in the UFC and realizing those things, like that's going to help your longevity in the sport for sure. So
Big
that's
time.
awesome that you already have that, you know, kind of in your head already. So that's powerful, bro. Like see, you guys come on here and you get to really pick these dudes' brains and hear their mentalities. Like that's
Yeah.
what's up right now. Like you gotta have that mentality to get to that level and stay at that level. So that was dope, bro. I appreciate that message. And
Hey
your
man, pound for pound, bro. I think I'm in the probably in like the top 10 or 15 smartest UFC fighters, man. My one of my buddies was joking with me the other day. I was a good student, and I got a 31 on my ACT. And here's the question. I want to know: do I got the highest ACT score in the UFC? I mean, I know that on we've got the girl that fought on Road to UFC this morning that is like a doctor or a surgeon or something.
doctor,
She's
dude.
probably she probably got me beat, but I got to be in the top 10 or 15. You know what I mean?
For sure, bro. You got to be up there. We're got to do some digging on that after we get off the pod here and figure that out. That's
Right?
interesting. I've never thought about that before, but dude, you got to be up there. You kicked my ass. I only got a 24 on it, so that
Fighter, send in your ACT score. Let me know who's got a better ACT score than Juice Box.
But we're gonna post that right there. We'll clip that reel and we'll put that out. That'd be tough to figure out, man. But Julius, I do want to kind of switch gears now a little bit.
Mhm,
Kind of talk about what you've got going on personally right now. I saw that
mhm,
you just dropped your new juice merch yesterday, I believe, or the day
mhm.
before. Correct me
Yep.
if I'm wrong there, but I just wanted to kind of ask you how that came together. How much were you involved in the designs of things? And it looks like it was the company Millions, maybe their name. So I just wanted to
So
ask
I've
you to break down on that.
Yeah, so with this new design that I got, one of my guys from the gym actually designed it. His graphic design company that he's just getting started up is called Valor 9. Um, and I believe if people go to my profile and look, you should be able to find that, like my Instagram, stuff like that. And I ordered initially, I physically ordered myself. I ordered initially 200 shirts. Once those 200 shirts get fully sold, and we're getting down. We're already I mean, we've maybe got like 50 or 60 left. They've been going pretty quickly.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
but once I sell all of those 200, I'm going to throw them up on my millions.co link.
Yep.
So I've got a link on this company. It's called millions.co, and essentially what they do is they make it to where as a fighter, and I think all fighters, if anyone's a fighter, or even I don't know if they work with, I'm pretty sure they work with all types of athletes and content creators in general, but they essentially set you up like a Shopify type store. So I've gone through and I put all of my old shirt designs on there because this is now my fourth shirt design that I've made over the times. So yeah, I've got the other three on there. I think there's a couple other little ones that I never got like full orders of that are on there that people can go buy, and then it ships directly to them. And for the fighters, it takes away, like, as a fighter, you don't have to order the shirts, because like I'm ordering the shirts, I'm shipping them to people. The people that are in town, I'm meeting up and giving them to them and stuff like that. With a website like Millions, that takes that away. So for fighters that, like, if you've got, especially, dude, some of the bigger guys that are on there probably make a good chunk of change on there. But the other thing about Millions is they'll take like the little clips from like your interviews like we're doing, and they'll put them on your little page, and they almost like, it's like a little deal to where when you go on there, like, literally, yeah, you can put all your content on there, and like you can get hooked up with brands and stuff on there. It's a pretty cool deal. So like I would highly recommend fighters, and you can literally just go on there and apply. So I would highly recommend all fighters go on there and get on that, man.
Dude, that is phenomenal right there. I did my little research on there. Always
Yeah,
come prepared, by damn. I didn't know that they were doing that. That is phenomenal, bro.
it's
That
legit, bro. It's very legit.
running with. And congratulations to you. It sounded like you had already sold like 140, 150 of them. Like
Just about.
that is insane, man. That is credit to you and your fan base, man. That is awesome. I love to hear
Dude,
that.
luckily for me, man, like I know you said you're like, where we're from communities that aren't necessarily like, it's not like I'm from St. Louis or Kansas City. You know what I mean? As a guy from Missouri and from Springfield. So it's like
Like,
there's not a single other dude. There's other people in the UFC from our area. So like Miranda Maverick is from Buffalo, and she started off at Springfield Fight Club. So that's right up the road from me. And then Garrett Armfield started off in Springfield. Like, so there's fighters in the UFC that started off in Springfield. But as of right now, I'm the only one that fights out of Springfield. So I've had a ton of support in the community. Like yesterday, when we went to Sam's Club to get our pickup order, one of the guys was someone that recognized me, you know what I mean? And has followed me and supported my career, and, sent me messages before and stuff like that. Just been a really supportive, good dude. And then, like, when I went to Sonic today, you know what I mean? Me and the lady had to stop by and get the liquid gold Diet Coke, in that styrofoam cup. Oh my goodness, man! And real quick, states that don't have styrofoam, I'm so sorry. Like, I went to Colorado cross train; they don't have styrofoam or plastic bags out there, dude. Whatever, man. Talking about saving the environment. Styrofoam cups are great, dude. My Diet Coke tastes way better, stays colder way longer. Nonetheless, the dude at Sonic was like, "Bro, are you the dude that fought in the UFC?" And I said, "That would be me." You know what I mean? Yeah. Speaking, it was cool, man. So it's the support that I get from the local community is a huge blessing.
that is so dope. Shout out to Springfield as well, man. That is so cool. I'm glad you're starting to get the recognition you deserve as well, man. And that is awesome to hear that. Sounds like you're going to have a partnership with Millions going forward for a little bit. So I'm
Definitely.
excited to see what other stuff is going to happen there. That's so dope. I'm
For
glad you
sure.
got that. But now I want to kind of touch on a little bit what we started to talk about at the top of the show here. So I obviously figured out that you had a little bit of a soccer and basketball background growing up.
Yep.
Uh, with you being in the UFC now, what is a piece of advice you would give to younger kids coming up,
Mhm.
that are multi-sport athletes, to, continue to play multiple sports and continue to develop them in other sports to where, if you're playing soccer, that might be able to translate into fighting one day with your footwork, or
Mhm.
basketball and being skilled with your hands and have a good hand-eye coordination can help you become a good puncher in fighting. So I just wanted to kind of ask if you have like any piece of advice for any kids growing up that play multiple sports.
Dude, so one thing, as if you're a kid growing up, multi-sport athlete, you're gonna have a ton of coaches and people telling you have to pick one.
Yep.
Gonna have that the whole time. Now, depending on what your goals are in any given sport, you may or may not have to prioritize one. Like if you play basketball and soccer and you say I want to get a full ride to play soccer in college, you might have to prioritize soccer a little bit.
Yep.
But I really don't think, you know what I mean? I don't think that means you have to stop playing basketball. I think playing both sports helped me a lot. I think the key to being athletic, if you really break down what being athletic is, because there's a lot of different types of athleticism and there's a lot of different types of athletes. I think the key to being athletic is just being adaptable and it's just being able to do lots of different things and make them look easy. And I think that comes from just doing different stuff. You know what I mean? Playing different sports. Like I grew up, I played every sport until I found, the two I liked the best, which was basketball and soccer. And I think that helped me a lot. And I think that moving my body in different ways helps me. It makes me a better athlete. Like whenever I go, because I occasionally play in men's league basketball games, with my buddies. Occasionally go play in the men's league. I was playing in a seven-a-side soccer league up at our little and I always cut myself off like 5 or 6 weeks before the fight.
Yeah.
And I was dude, it was kind of heartbreaking this time because my team actually we were undefeated and they went on. I'm pretty sure the boys went on and won the league. Like
That's
we were we were a solid little squad. I was like, I don't suck at soccer by any. I mean, I was my senior year. I got first team all state and scored 20 goals. Now we played in the smallest class. Keep in mind, but I'm a decent soccer player, and I was probably the dang near the one of the worst ones on the team. Like I was actually on a nice little squad. But like, dude, when you go and you play other sports like that, and you just do something and move your body, it has a positive effect on. Like for me, it has a positive effect on my fighting. Like when I go play basketball and I go play soccer, I'm telling you, moving in a more athletic way, I'll go roll, I'll go to jiu-jitsu class, and I'll hit something that maybe I haven't hit in a while. Like I'm telling you, it just moving your body in different ways, being athletic is good. Demetrius Johnson did a seminar at our gym about 3 years ago, and he actually talked about that. He was like, "You guys need to go like throw a frisbee around, or kick a soccer ball around, or play catch with a football, because like doing that stuff and being athletic will translate to fighting. Being athletic is a skill in the cage."
absolutely. And I think just to kind of go off of what you said right there, because I think that's a perfect message too for guys growing up that are going to play multi sports. I
Mm-hmm.
think that just putting yourself in different scenarios to where you're not just doing the same sport over and over again. I think putting your body and putting yourself in different situations, like, oh, maybe I'm not as good at basketball, but I am a star player on the soccer team. That can go a long way and give you different perspectives on stuff like that. So I 100% agree with what you just said, though. I think that's a perfect message to the guys. So that's awesome, man. But now I kind of want to go back into fighting a little bit, Julius. I think I read somewhere that you said that Nick Diaz was your favorite fighter growing up. I just
Mm-hmm.
want to kind of ask you, what did you see from him specifically to inspire you to now get to where you're at?
Dude, so I already liked MMA. I the first thing that made me start liking MMA was Brock Lesnar, because when I was a small kid, I was a wrestling fan. And I mean, I'm still a wrestling fan, but I was a big wrestling fan as a small kid. And then I really started getting into MMA around like that when I was about in middle school when Brock Lesnar was fighting in the UFC when he was the UFC heavyweight champ. And then I remember like when I was getting into high school, figure like just starting to learn about Nick Diaz, like my freshman-ish, like 20, like 13. That was when I was a freshman in high school. Seeing Nick Diaz, and Nick Diaz is in there like flipping people off and smoking weed and stuff. And freshman me, 14-year-old me is like, bro, this dude is so cool. What do you mean? You mean to tell me he's a pro athlete that smokes weed and flips people off and he's allowed to do that? You
Yep.
can do that in the sport? Like, dude, this is the coolest thing ever. And then like you watch, I remember I start going through watching all of his fights. I still remember the first time I'm sitting on my mom's couch and I watched the Takanori Gomi fight when Nick Diaz hit that go-go plata on him. And I'm like, dude, this is absolutely insane. Going back and watching like his title run in Strikeforce and all the stuff he's hitting on people, like watching him fight Frank Shamrock and he doesn't shut up the whole fight. It blew my mind that he's talking trash during the fight. I was like, dude, there's no way you're in there talking trash during the fight. This dude is the most amazing guy ever. So yeah, dude, I freaking when I got into the Diaz brothers, like I thought they were so cool. And it was funny because like I was a huge Nick Diaz fan, and obviously I thought Nate Diaz was cool too. You know what I mean? But then it was so wild because then Nate fight Connor. He's kind of the more mainstream, widely known Diaz brother. But yeah, dude, I'm a huge fan of both Diaz brothers, you know, but the original one for me that really got me into it was definitely Nick.
That is so dope, man. I'm glad you say that because, like, I'm only 24, so like I could kind of relate to you a little bit there on who we watched growing up. But like,
Yep.
why people like love guys like the Diaz brothers and Conor McGregor because not only were they saying stuff during pressers or media or anything like that, like they'd literally be in the cage like flipping dudes off, getting in
Yeah.
faces, talking shit to them while they're fighting them. Like that's just a different level of aura and confidence, and as a kid, like your eyes aren't going to be attracted to somebody who doesn't have confidence in themselves or they're like going to be looking around. You want to be like the dudes that are going to have that much confidence and make it that fun to watch a sport. So
Exactly.
that's a guy to look up to right there. I mean, I completely agree. I think if you're having a bad day, if you just get on YouTube and type in Nick Diaz highlights, like he'll make you laugh,
100%.
like he'll just make you laugh and you'll enjoy it even if you've watched the video like 50 times. So that's
Yeah.
a good answer right there. I love that. When I did my research and I saw that, I was like, that's a good pick right there. You can't go wrong with either Diaz brother in that situation. Right. But now, Julius, I gotta ask you, man. You're a Lakers fan. I figured that out about you. Um, the amount of times that me and my buddies sat in the basement as kids and just argued countless times about who's better than who. This would be the starting five for this franchise. I got to ask you, man, what is your all time starting five for the Lakers?
So I'm going to go with just this is tough. You've got it. This is actually really tough if you really think about it. But I'm just going to go, man, it's not really based off their career on the Lakers. It's based off of just their careers overall more so. Because if you go based off their careers on the Lakers, then guys like LeBron, it's like, do you include LeBron?
Yep.
I don't know. But it's hard for me to not put LeBron in any all-time starting five. And I'm not a LeBron fan. I'm a Kobe guy. I'm still a LeBron. Like, I'm not a LeBron hater by any means, but I'm a Kobe guy. You know what I mean? That's why I'm a Lakers fan. Like, 100%. Oh, yeah.
Let's go, baby. Come on.
Let's go.
Come on now. Come on now. Had to
Dude,
pull it
the
in
man himself, dude.
Had to pull it in there.
Mamba mentality. Kobe always be my favorite athlete. But I would say, dude, all-time Lakers starting five, you got to go Magic at the one. You got to go Kobe at the two. And then realistically, I'll put LeBron in there because he is LeBron James, one of the greatest athletes ever in terms of longevity, accomplishments, what he contributed to the sport. And then for the 4 and the 5, dude, you've got to go. It's really tough because you have to leave out, and a lot of people like it's Kareem and Shaq, 4 and 5, Kareem and Shaq, but it's tough because you have to leave out but like dude, there's Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, George Mikan, you know what I mean? All those guys get left out. Wilt, like, dude, Wilt's not in my starting five.
Yep.
Honestly, you know what, dude? I don't even care. I'm dropping LeBron and putting Wilt in there. And I get that I've got three centers. I get that I've got three centers, but and I understand that. But I'm going with Magic, Kobe, Wilt, Kareem, and Shaq because
Gee.
those guys had extensive Lakers careers. LeBron, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest LeBron fan. I'll just be completely honest.
Hey man, I'm right there with you right now. I'm so upset. My girlfriend usually sits in this chair right beside me and watches every single
Yeah.
one. Oh my god, she'd be getting so hyped right now if she was right here. She hates LeBron too, so she'll she'll watch this back and be like, "Oh my god, I love him now that he said that." She's like the biggest
Well,
LeBron hater of all time. But I do
dude,
agree with you on those for
when I
sure.
was a kid, I hated LeBron. When I was younger me, like whenever I was a kid, there was a period of time where it was a debate of who was better, Kobe or LeBron, and I was always fighting so hard to say that Kobe was better. You know what I mean? Always fighting so hard. People, Kobe is the man. Kobe's the best player. Kobe's the guy. So I was never a big LeBron fan. Like I was totally. I remember when they used to do the ringless thing with him. I used to always be like, dude, I'm a because I'm a witness, I'm a witness to LeBron staying ringless. But obviously, I'm not really. You've got to appreciate the dude's greatness, on
Yeah,
some level. But I'm not a big LeBron fan. It's really hard for him. I don't know why he ticks me off a little bit. I think I'm just still salty about whenever he was ruling the world and he wasn't a Laker. So maybe that's what it is.
definitely. I totally agree with what you said right there. I feel like especially with me, also another player to touch on. I think probably my other favorite shooting guard all the time is probably D Wade, and I
Yeah.
love the Heat. I love the Heat before just because of it's Miami.
Hmm.
They've got a good crowd. They've got cool colors. It's Florida. And then he goes to Miami, and then I'm like, fuck, dude, like I can't like the Heat anymore because LeBron's there. He was on the Cavs originally. I didn't
Yeah.
like I was one of those guys, like you said, like I was a Kobe fan. So like if anybody's talking about LeBron or anything like that, I'm like, nah, man. Like I'm not with you. So I definitely see where you're coming from on the part where you're like, dang, I can't really get over what he did in the past. I have kind of grown, over the years now. Like I've went to a few Lakers games. The Pacers are like 2 hours from me, so
Hmm.
I've gotten to watch him play a few times in person. I've went to watch him in person, if I'm being honest, because at the time I wasn't really a fan of the Lakers or the Pacers,
Yeah.
but I've I've grown to appreciate his greatness and be able to respect him. But he won't ever be in like up here for me as an athlete just because of how I was growing up as a kid. So that's funny that you say that because that's exactly how I view it right there. Like there's so
Yeah.
many NBA players like D Wade that I just brought up that like I would put him over LeBron because I never had a problem with D Wade at any
Yeah.
point. So
Yeah.
that's funny that you share that because that is word for word what I tell everybody every time that gets brought up. So that's funny. Oh, that's dope. I love the starting five, though. I think your first starting five is probably the one I would probably lean more towards, but your second starting five would also be 1 and 2 for me. So both
Right.
starting lineups, perfect. Kind of tough to pick it, though, whenever you have such a great franchise like the Lakers. So
Dude.
can't really go wrong either way. But, Julius, I have gotten to what I call the final bell. It's 5 rapid fire questions. You have to pick if you'd rather do this or you like this more than this thing. So my
Okay.
first one, we're starting off hot. We talked about this a little bit off camera, so I've been waiting to hear your answer on this. Are you rocking with the Lakers or Everton? Because Everton's his favorite Premier League team, guys. I forgot to throw that out there. That's his prem team. So Lakers or Everton?
This one's really tough for me. It's really, really, really tough for me. But I have to go with the Lakers just due to the fact that I have been a Lakers fan since I was like literally since like a walk. So like
Yeah.
I've been a Lakers fan. I've truly been a Lakers fan my whole life, and I became an Everton fan around the time I became a bigger Everton fan probably around like 20 like 10 around the 2010 World Cup when I really started getting more into soccer and Tim Howard was playing in goal for them. So that I gotta go with the Lakers.
Okay, cool, cool. Tough decision though, it seems like there. So definitely wasn't easy when we had to start off hot. My next one is kind of a little bit random though. Would you rather oh my God, time travel to the past or to the future? That's a tongue twister. Jesus.
I think, man, that's tough. I think for me, I am probably going to go to the past. I'm probably going to go to some specific sports events from the past, stuff like that. You know what I mean? But man, yeah, I'm going to go with the past. I don't want to get any spoilers. I don't want to get any spoilers on the future because I assume I got to go back at some point.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I think it's way easier to say that you could go to the past and maybe fix a few things that would have went a little bit better your way than to be like, well, if I go into the future, then that kind of spoils what's going to go on the rest of life. Or,
I'm going to Kobe's 81-point game.
Oh my God, yes. See, that's something right there. If you go to the past, you could do that. That would, yeah, that right there. That's the reason you would go to the past. That's a good one to think of right there against the Blazers. Oh my God, what a game, man! What a game! Holy shit, that'd be crazy to see in person. My next one would be though: would you rather fight in space or fight underwater? Yes, you do have an oxygen tank if you are underwater.
Whoa. Repeat that.
Would you rather fight in space or fight underwater, but you have an oxygen tank if you're fighting underwater? Like what the scuba divers put on and everything?
Do I have an oxygen tank in space?
You got like the astronaut suit on. So like, yeah, like you're chilling.
Okay. 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 I'm going underwater since I have an oxygen tank. I mean, because this one I had to think about my fighting style and what's going to benefit me. And I'm going underwater. I'm going underwater. If I've got an oxygen tank and I can breathe under there, I think I'm going to go underwater. I think that I would be a killer grappler underwater. I don't know how I'm going to do in space.
I think so too. I think the water is a little more predictable, especially with your fight style, like you said. I figured I
Right?
was like, I think underwater, I'd take my chances with Julius in that one. I think that'd be a tough one to overcome if you're on the other end of that. So I'm kind of with you.
Right.
For you specifically, I would probably pick underwater as well. So I love that answer. Now,
Hmm.
this one's kind of a little weird, but I haven't really asked any I mean, we're looking at the colors on the screen here, guys. We just got the new display pulled up this week. We're not doing any more Zoom calls. That looked terrible. You guys have been shitting on me for that for like 3 months. We're finally got a cool display for Julius to come on here now and make it look cool. But Julius, with all the colors on here now, man, I just want to ask you, if you were only allowed to wear one color the rest of your life, which one would you pick?
I'm gonna have to go with black.
Okay. I think I'd pick
Black.
black as well. I think I'd
Because I got to pick a neutral because I originally my original answer was blue, and then I realized I was like, wait a minute, that means I'm wearing a blue shirt, blue pants, blue shorts, blue shoes, blue socks. Everything I'm wearing is blue. You know what I mean? If and that's gonna just it's gonna look ridiculous. So I had to do a neutral color. I didn't want to wear gray because all my friends would be like, "Oh, you're in a gray outfit," you know. And I didn't want to wear white because I'm a messy eater, so I got to wear black.
Me too. Me too. I'm rocking with black too. It's probably the best color to wear where you can wear all black and like nobody be like, what the hell is this guy wearing? Or what the hell is she wearing? It
Yeah,
goes to it too. And like you just said, man,
right.
I mean, this is crazy. This is so crazy. Like I'm so mad Riley's not here, guys, beside me because she'd be all over my ass right now once he said that because I'm the messiest eater I know. It's so bad. I can't go to Taco Bell and get anything without getting it all over me. So I cannot wear white if I'm gonna eat any Mexican food or anything that could potentially follow me because then it's just bad news from there. So if you ever see me at a UFC event, I will most likely never be wearing white. Most likely, if you ever see me at one of those, for that same reason. I love that you chose black, though. That's the one that I would rock with as
Yep.
well. Got the black hat on right now. Black hats are my favorite as well. But my final one is this kind of goes into what we talked about at the top of the hour as well. Um, Basketball or soccer?
Dude. So in reality, for me, the sport that I always enjoyed the most in terms of playing, and it was soccer. I always enjoyed playing soccer more, but I think part of that might be just due to the fact that I didn't take it quite as seriously as I did basketball. Basketball was always like that was the one that I took it really seriously, and I was way more competitive about it. So I think that might be why. But I'm picking soccer. I enjoyed it way more. Like when I was playing in that 7-a-side league, dude, I freaking loved it. I wish every time the game ended, every time my whole life, every soccer game that I was ever in, as the time started winding down on the clock, I was getting sad. I was like, no, I do not want this to end. This is so fun. So I got to go with soccer. There's nothing there. There is pretty much nothing like scoring a goal in a soccer game other than maybe finishing a fight. But even then, scoring a goal is just it's a different level, dude. You know that.
Exactly, dude. Oh my! I was expecting you to pick basketball because of the obviously playing at the collegiate level at Drury, but I mean, it's like you said though. In basketball, playing at a high level, you're probably going to score 60 to 80 points a game. Depending on what you push up to 100, obviously if you're hooping. But
Right.
yeah, there's just constant baskets back and forth. You got the 30-second shot clock if you're in college, 24-second shot clock if you're in the NBA. There's constant buckets. But in soccer, it might be a 1-0 game. And if you're the guy that scores that 1-0 goal, you go to the corner flag with all the teammates. The fans are going crazy in the stands. So I can agree with you, man. It is one of those feelings. Like it's kind of hard to explain. You just kind of feel like you're on top of the world for like those 15 seconds that happens. But I do
100%.
the finishing inside the octagon and the feeling of scoring a goal, but those don't happen in every single second or minute of each game or competition or bout. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It just means a little bit more. So that's awesome. I love that you said that soccer, you'd pick that over basketball, bro. That's so dope. I'd love to get on the pitch with you someday as well. I'm not that hurry, so we could definitely take it one day. I was telling Julius off camera too that I do coach soccer as well. So that's dope, bro. I'm glad we got that in common. Hopefully one day whenever we meet up, I'll bring a soccer ball. We can kick it a little bit, man.
Let's go.
Hell yeah, bro. But Julius, I have gotten to my final question here. I ask every single fighter that comes on this channel that's an active fighter this same question before they leave here. What's the final message you have to the fans to tune in to continue to watch the rest of your journey?
Dude, my biggest message is thank you. You know what I mean? Without the fans and without the support system, like we as fighters, we're literally nothing. A lot of fighters, I don't think they necessarily realize that in full. And obviously, that doesn't necessarily mean that you owe the fans anything. But I think it's important to be grateful for what we've got. There's a lot of reasons to be stressed in life, but dude, like I'm pursuing a dream. I get to fight for a living. You know what I mean? And that part of this life is really cool, and I'm really lucky for that. So dude, thank you to all the fans, and stay tuned because hopefully here by the end of the year, I'm back in there putting on another banger and hopefully getting another bonus.
Let's go. You actually answered my question already. I was going to ask you if you did want to get in there at the end of 2025 or early 2026. Is there a specific spot that you're already kind of eyeing that the UFC has on their calendar where you're like, I'd love to get on that card? Because obviously you've got Vegas coming up. They'll have another one at the end of the year for a pay-per-view. I believe they're going to Qatar, Vancouver. I can't really think of any other fight nights off the top of my head. That'd be a little far out. I know they bring a fight night to Florida at the end of the year usually as well. Is there any of those events in particular that you kind of have your eye on, or are you just going to wait for the UFC to give you a call and then hopefully make it happen?
Well, in reality, the latter. I'm definitely just going to wait for the UFC to give me a call and they'll tell me what to do. But if I actually had a choice, dude, I would love to fight at T-Mobile. That'd be super cool because, there's a chance I'm pretty sure that's the last pay-per-view of the year. The December pay-per-view is going to be at T-Mobile. Yep. And then, dude, the Florida fight night would be sick too. I would love to go to Florida. And December is probably the time to go to Florida. I was just in Vegas in July and August, and walking out into the sauna every single time you walk outside was a lot. So I think it would be really sweet to either go to Vegas or Florida here in December. You know what I mean?
That is dope. And I forgot to mention the pay-per-view at New York City as well, Madison Square Garden. Forgot about that. Can't believe I forgot that one. That's a casual thing for me to do right there, guys. I'm sorry. Sorry for my hardcore fans.
Roast him, chat.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I missed that one because I'm a hardcore guy too. But as NYC, something that you'd want to slide on to, that's going to be early November, I believe.
Dude, I would 100%. Like, dude, the opportunity to fight at Madison Square Garden, if you're a fighter and you turn that down, you're not a fighter unless you're physically incapable of doing so.
Yes.
You know what I mean? There's no reason why I couldn't be ready on November 8th. So, dude, I would kill to fight in any of those shows. The only one I'm not super keen on for me is the only show I would not be super duper keen on fighting in would be anything like super duper overseas, because I'm not trying to pay for all those plane tickets.
Exactly. And there's no telling like the taxes that are going to be taken out on stuff like that either. Like I don't even know that either. I know what it is
Right.
in states and certain cities that the UFC goes to because that's out there and it's in the States. I don't know what it is overseas though, so I need to do my research a little bit on that. But
Right.
Julius, thank you so much for joining us again today, man. Especially 2 weeks removed. It's the start of the weekend. This is a Friday at the time of this filming, so thank you for not only taking time out of your day to come on here, but doing it on a weekend as well. So close to the event that you just had and getting the W. You have an open time slot to come on here whenever you want, man. I'd love to get you back on the channel once you get one booked, and then we'll bring you back on after you get the dub. But thank you so much again for your time today, man.
Dude, let's go. I appreciate you big time, man. Everybody just hop on the socials, man. Follow your boy and pull up the millions and get you some merch. Yeah, man. I appreciate everybody big time.
Let's go, everybody. The juice box himself, Julius Walker. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time on Hawk Sports. Appreciate you tuning in.